Okay, hey everyone, it's Rita Michele here with Organic Mothering. That's at www.dancingmomio.blogspot.com. The last time I made a video for YouTube and the blog, I was talking about home efficiency tips. And I was going to do a series and go through Jennifer L. Scott's 7 best tips for efficiency that she talked about at her blog, The Daily Connoisseur. So I talked about being so inspired by these tips, and I went over 2 of them: wake up before your family, and what was the other one? Embrace schedules and routines. So I reflected on 2 of them, but then I got interrupted. My family came home earlier than expected, and I didn't get to finish it. Now, having a chance when nobody's home to be able to do this hardly ever happens. And so I should not have committed to doing a series or putting out the expectation that I would do a, part 2 in a timely fashion. But on the other hand, I'm kind of glad actually that I waited, because it wasn't long before I kind of had a change of heart about this. And it's not that I've done a complete 180. It's not that I've decided that efficiency is not worth pursuing, but I've thought a little more deeply about this. And part of the reason is that Jennifer Scott had posted a couple other videos that gave me a different kind of impression and than I've had of her before. And I've always been very supportive of her work. I've always championed her mission, what she's trying to do, and I think that she's very helpful and inspiring. And I don't want to say anything disparaging about her at all. I don't want to criticize her. But some of the ideas that were coming out just seemed to kind of leave a bad taste in my mouth. One of them was a video she did in conjunction with her husband about not wasting time. And it just came across as a little bit preachy, because it kind of specified their value system and what they do, which is not wasting time, as compared to some other things that do, like watching TV. Cut out television is one of the tips. In fact, I'll just read all 7 so we can kind of have a point of reference. So, wake up before your family, cut out television, don't waste time on social media, set goals, embrace schedules and routines, use a planner, and meal plan and freezer meals. Okay, so the television thing. So they don't watch TV, she and her husband, although they do have, I don't know if they have Netflix. I know she's mentioned PureFlix before, and the kids do watch some TV. They don't watch sports. And for some people, yes, sports become an idol. Sports become something that takes them away from things that should be more of a priority, takes them away from their responsibilities to family maybe, takes them away from things that they should be doing, because they're too involved in constantly keeping up with sports. But lots of people get joy out of sports. I have family who lives in Cleveland, and they get such joy after from watching the Cavs win at basketball, for example. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But at the same time, it can become all-consuming. But that can happen with anything. It's not just sports. My family doesn't have cable TV. We don't get the regular TV stations even. We don't have reception at our house. We didn't want to buy something special in order to be able to get reception. But we do have Netflix. So the TV that we watch are just Netflix shows. And because Netflix features programs that have already run, through a whole season, and there can be multiple seasons of a show. It's easy to binge watch, and that's a trap that you can fall into. But the attitude just seemed to be a little bit judgmental to me. Like, these are things that are valuable, like reading, and these other things are time wasters, like, social media, which Jennifer herself has to use for her business, to promote her business. She uses social media. And she's not saying, that, nobody else should unless they have to for business. And I do agree that it can be a huge time hog. And one of the things I did immediately was to pare down to one account. I had 2 Facebook accounts, long story about why that was. I deactivated one of them, and the one that I kept is attached to an email address that I do not use. I basically just created it to be able to have a second Facebook account. So emails I get from actual people that I know come to a different email address. So I'm not getting all of those Facebook notifications in my email anymore. And you can turn those off anyway. You don't have to be getting notifications. But that was one way that I pared things down, and now I have less in my email inbox, and I have less that I'm dealing with Facebook, and I don't have any other social media. So I don't feel like television or social media are big problems for me personally. And I do believe it's good to set goals. I don't use a planner, but we have a wall calendar, and it's in our kitchen, and my husband and I just write things on it that we want each other to know about and that we want to remind ourselves about. And then I have, a very simple planning system for homeschooling. So I'm not one of those people that needs to carry around either a physical planner or a smartphone like a BlackBerry or whatever. I don't even really know what that is, but I know that people keep like all their planning on these things, and I don't have one. I just have a flip phone. I just have your basic cell phone. Somebody can call me, I can call somebody else. We can text, but it's the old-fashioned texting where you might have to push a number 3 times to get the letter you want. It's a pain in the butt. I don't do it. I just don't text. So and I've been thinking more about the schedules and routines. So here's what I've come up with, okay? I feel like some of this efficiency stuff and having this beautiful morning routine where you wake up before your family, which by the way has not worked for me, hasn't happened. My husband is usually up before me. On the times that I have woken up before him, it hasn't been very long before him. Usually I'm up before my teenage daughter, but having an elaborate morning routine where I do my devotions and get my exercise in and get the dishes put away from the night before, which are supposed to already be clean if you're following the Fly Lady routines. Or doing something like Mondays, you do your house blessing and you spend an hour going around, dusting and various things, and you change the sheets on your bed, and maybe on Tuesdays you clean out your purse, and on Wednesdays you're doing bathrooms or whatever it is. I do have routines. I realized I have routines, but my days go in more of a flow rather than a set schedule. And that works fine for me. I keep up with dishes. I do generally a load of laundry every day, where I might do 2 loads every other day. If it gets behind, I'll do 2 loads every day till I'm caught up. But basically my plan is to do a load every day, and that's usually what I do. Okay, so, I keep up with just general tidying, very efficient with homeschooling, with the planning. As soon as we're finished, I write out the assignments for the next day, and it only takes maybe 10 minutes. It doesn't take long at all to do that, and then it's done. So anyway, the word striving came to mind, and that's what I really want to talk about, is this idea that we are striving instead of resting in the Lord. We're striving to be efficient. Okay, and I had the dictionary ready to read from, but I didn't bring it out on the porch here with me. And I don't want to, I finally got things set where the light is good and I'm positioned right and everything like that. So I'm not going to go grab it. But it had the connotation of being in a certain way oppositional. Like you're content, there's a contention there. It can just mean that you're, pursuing a goal or you're trying to accomplish something. But the first definition had a heavier sense of that was kind of oppressive feeling. And I think that our culture, not only do we have this busyness addiction, and it's a competitive thing, and that's where striving comes in there. People are competitive with each other about how busy they are. You might not ever hear anyone say, well, you think you're busy. You should, be at my house. And there are probably people who do say things like that. But usually it's this sort of unspoken competition where it's a status symbol to be busy and especially to be productive. But people just brag about being busy. That's the case. And I think that the striving comes in there, trying to prove that you are busier and therefore more important than other people. There's a pride thing, there's an ego thing. And I've noticed that people who strive, like who have maybe really big goals, and it's okay to have some big goals, but they will push themselves and push themselves. And sure, they get a lot done, but there's a cost. There's usually a cost that has to do with physical pain or injury. Going, like there's no moderation. They're either going full speed ahead or they've crashed. And that's not a good way to live everyday life. I don't want to feel like I'm out of breath all day, working at breakneck speed, and trying to fit into somebody else's ideal. And that's the problem I've started having with the whole Madame Chic thing. Okay, so Madame Chic is and her family, Famille Chic, they hosted Jennifer Scott when she was in college for a semester. She studied in France, and she lived with this family and got this great impression of efficiency. And she got the idea for the 10-item wardrobe. And Madame Chic was always put together. She never went around in sweatpants. I'm actually wearing an exercise shirt today, which I don't usually do, because this says champion on it. And I woke up this morning not feeling like a champion. I felt like the opposite of a champion. So this is to psych me out in a good way. Because I didn't sleep well. There was something on my mind that was disturbing me. And then physically, I didn't feel, I was hot and I was itchy and I just was really, really restless. And so I'm tired, and I've been feeling the sort of allergy sinus thing. It's ragweed season and the scratchy throat and just, and I talked about malaise in the last video, how I felt like I was having a summer malaise. Well, I think it's more than that, actually. I think it's like a midlife malaise. Like, I'm going to be 50 in December, and I think there's kind of a midlife crisis thing going on. But it's not like a full-blown crisis where there's a serious depression or, sort of like abandonment, like the stereotypical midlife crisis of a man where he gets like, he divorces his wife, he finds a trophy wife who's half his age, he has money at this point in life, so he buys himself a fancy sports car. Okay, I'm not going to do a female equivalent of that, whatever the heck that might be, but it is a point where I think I am going to need to do a lot of reflection and figure out what it is that I need, to sort of continue feeling really engaged with life. And it's not going to be embracing schedules and routines. Now, creative people, and I am a creative person, and some creative people will say it really helps them to have a set routine for their creativity. Like a writer might gather certain books around them, they have a certain pen they use, they've got maybe a particular like mug that, see my pretty false graft with my lipstick stain, that they like to drink their coffee or tea out of or whatever. And they have a little ritual. And I think that rituals are a good idea. When I do my dance practice, there's a particular way that I approach it. And I put on clothes that are for exercise, and I have certain music that I use, obviously. And before, when I get started, I do warm ups. There are certain things I work on then for the actual practice, which are to prepare for a class. So there might be 2 or 3 movements that I'm really going to zone in on the details, and I work on those, get them smooth so I can present them in an efficient way. And I cool down at the end, and oftentimes I'll put on a song or two where it's just me improvising, not working on anything in particular, but just getting that aerobic exercise and that creative outlet, just freestyling it. So, yes, I'm not against routines and rituals at all. I mean, I'm Catholic. I go to Mass. Ritual is a way of life, and I think there's a lot of good in that. But I don't think that these 7 efficiency tips are what's going to get me there. And I feel like it's striving and this trying to be like Madame Chic. When Jennifer went to France, Madame Chic did not have any young children still living at home. There might have been a son that was still living at home, but he was grown. He had a job. But the picture painted of never having anything out of place, never having any clutter, having a set routine every day. And I don't know, that just didn't appeal to me. When I thought about it, I don't know. It just didn't spark like inspiration for me. The idea of walking to the market to get food for each day, and that's how Madame She got her exercise. I like that idea. And I do like the idea of a small wardrobe, a capsule wardrobe. But the point just being, cease striving. Like, I think that trying to live up to an ideal where there's never any clutter and where you have like routines for everything, like she was talking about having a cleaning routine, a work routine, a cooking routine. I have a cooking routine. I don't plan really ahead, but I start dinner about 5. We eat at 6. And we sit at the table together. We pray before our meal. We talk a little bit with each other. We eat together as a family. And, that's my cooking routine. I don't do freezer meals. I just don't. I'm not into the crock pot thing really either, even though I think it's a great idea. So I guess the takeaway point is that striving to be efficient should not be the goal. Now, and I don't think that's what Jennifer was saying either. To be clear, I think what she was saying is that because she does these things, she doesn't waste time. She makes the most of her time. And we could all, benefit from some time management skills and improve in that area, many of us. But I think it is okay to sit for an hour and watch TV with your kid. We're watching new episodes of Once Upon a Time, my daughter and I. Our family together, including my husband, we're watching Ultimate Beastmaster. We were cheering for a woman from France that was the first one to make it to the 3rd level last night. And Jennifer and her husband would say, like, that's wasting time. Cut that out. That's wasting time. Read books or whatever instead. Okay, well, sometimes books are crap too. I hate to tell you, but there are junk TV shows there's junk food, and there are junk books, you know? So reading isn't necessarily better. Um, you know, that's a value judgment. So at any rate, I think that we have to figure out just who we are, who we want to be, and be realistic about that. And yeah, I'm not going to be the early morning person. I'm probably not going to be able to consistently get up before my husband. But I can go outside while the weather's still nice and I can enjoy nature. Pretty sure I saw some kestrels this morning. Well, I heard them. I know kind of their sound. And, you know, watch some birds eating at the feeder. You know, watch the kitty cats come around. And because we have just one outdoor cat, but all these other neighborhood cats love to come to my house, always have. They eat here too. And I pray. Sometimes I even sing like Immaculate Mary or something like that, or Hail Mary, Gentle Woman. And I just start my day with like my beverage and quiet and a little something to eat. And then I take my shower, and there's some chores that my daughter's expected to do before we start school. And then, you know, we start lesson time. And almost always I already have her assignments written out from the day before. So, and, you know, she's at an age where she can do a lot independently. So I'll go ahead and, you know, do some dishes, start the laundry. I can do some things, check my email while she's working on something she can do independently. So yeah, I think the key is just not trying to follow someone else's program or someone else's ideals or someone else's values and think, well, if I'm not like that, then there's something wrong. I'm not doing it right. So, you know, rest in the Lord. Rest in the Lord. Don't strive. You know, because when people have what seems like sort of an ideal, perfect life, how many times have you found out that they crashed and burned? Something went terribly wrong. Spouse has an affair. Um, the person has a nervous breakdown. They aren't really as happy as they seem to be. And I'm not saying that's the case with Madame Chic. I don't know her. She's almost like a mythical figure at this point. I don't even know if she knows about Jennifer Scott using, you know, her as a platform for this whole, you know, French chic way of life. I don't know if the woman is even cognizant that she's this icon, this paragon, whatever. So again, this is not like a critique of what Jennifer's trying to do. I think she does great work, and if she really is as happy as she says, I'm glad for her. But it doesn't make me more happy trying to strive after something that that life is gonna insist upon disrupting anyway. And that's the truth, isn't it? You know, I have chronic back conditions, and I set out to redecorate my kitchen and paint the cabinets, and then it's been so humid. Paint's not sticking, it's not adhering, curing, whatever you call it, and it's chipping easily, and I'm getting upset when people are chipping my paint. Sometimes I'm chipping it myself, and it's too hard on my back, and it's taking forever now to do this project, but I can't stop because I can't leave it halfway done, right? And just like the idea of I'm going to do a series on this home efficiency stuff, and then realizing, well, it's not going to be another month before I have time to even address it again. So instead of saying this is what I'm going to do, and then have that pressure to strive to achieve that and feel like a failure and disappointed when I can't, or when I just find out that that doesn't actually gel with my personal philosophy. And then I've publicly said, like, I'm all behind this thing, and let's all do this. It's going to make our lives better. Before I've actually had the chance to experiment with that and see if it's true. So that's where I'm at with my kind of midlife malaise. I've got to start exploring again. I've got to start exploring, and I know that clearing the clutter is key. And I may not be on the minimalist bandwagon forever. I may change my mind about that. But right now, yeah, having too much stuff is a problem. And having stuff that makes it so that your home isn't beautiful. Having so much stuff that it is constantly psychically weighing on you. I think that can make us ill, seriously, in a literal way. And I think that clearing out what you don't need, what you don't love, what doesn't serve you in your current life, what is just a clinging to the past in many cases, clearing that out is going to open up the way for you to explore where you want to go next. And yeah, if you can keep your home reasonably tidy and just start with the routines that you already have. Because when I thought about it, I'm like, oh, well, I already have routines. I already actually do. And they're working pretty well. And, maybe I can just tweak a few things a little bit, but not get into this whole, I have to write out what my morning routine is or my evening routine is, even to be able to do it. Even to be able to remember what the items are I'm supposed to be doing, I've got to write it down. That's not really how I want things to be. So, and I really don't want to swish out my toilets every day, like Fly Lady. I do think my upstairs bathroom sink does need to be cleaned out every day because there are three of us we all have a lot of hair. I mean, I have it up today, but I have a ton of hair. My husband has long hair. My daughter has long hair. We all have a lot of hair. And the downstairs bathroom doesn't get used as much. The upstairs bathroom is the main one we use. That one does get yucky. So yeah, common sense says clean that out every day. The toilet doesn't necessarily need it. So yeah, anyway, and to shine my sink, it's not that big a deal to me. So anyway, that's my 2 cents, and I'm going to leave you with that. And that's the end of this series on home efficiency, in which I do maybe not a complete 180, but say a 140 on it or something like that. And so yeah, we will move on and talk about other things. Thanks if you're still here for taking the time, and I hope that maybe it helped just free you up a little bit to say to yourself, efficiency is not the goal. Efficiency might help me to achieve my goals, but it's like minimalism is not the goal. It's a means to an end, and you have to figure out what that end is first and what you want your life to look like. And it could be something as simple as, I want to sit and listen to the birds for 10 minutes in the morning with my coffee or my tea and say some prayers and just, ground myself, resting in the Lord, and then proceed with life and let it flow. Okay, I guess that's a wrap. Again, it's Rita Michele here, Organic Mothering, and I'll see you again soon, or not. Bye-bye.